Hey guys, it's another live with me. Today we are making a curry. Let me bring this up. There's a picture of it here from the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle, which is only on for a couple more days. It finishes on the 11th of May, gone forever as a bundle. You can then purchase the books and courses individually off the content creators. But it's 32 new ebooks, courses, hundreds of recipes like my curry recipe, which I'll be making today. And it's only $50. Now, we go hard with sharing. Anyone who's in this is really promoting it because you have no idea how much when the bundle's finished, people are like, can we still get the bundle? Can we get the bundle? No, the bundle is only available for the 11-day period. And it's just it's so much value. So that's why we do this, we share. I'm also going to be talking today on a really important topic, which is close to my heart, which I think about a lot. And it is, I caption this psycho or psychic, as in, are people having psychiatric, like when people have dissociations and things, is there this spiritual element to it? Now, I don't want people to take this the wrong way, and I don't want to offend anybody. Every live I do is based on my own experience. I had been diagnosed with ADHD, but hadn't really, every kind of third person has tendencies towards it. It wasn't until I was 37, by this stage, most of my 60 surgeries were done. I'd been in bed most of my life, 7 major organs removed. It was like this snap with reality where most of my memory wasn't available for me to access either. And then over the next 5 years, I spent most of that time in and out of psychiatric hospitals, being scheduled in acute wards, private hospitals. There was 9 stays, 5 were acute visits, and I was scheduled, I think, 4 or 5 times. I really can't remember. Maybe more, because sometimes you're rescheduled when you stay there. One stint was 10 months. And I have been through it. Like when you talk about somebody who's had like their stomach removed, they've had 60 surgeries, I had been through it, but nothing prepared me for this psychiatric, psychic, spiritual. I always saw it as spiritual. So I want to talk on that. But first off, we will be making my curry. So this curry up here, this is from my dinners ebook, which is in the bundle now. You can make the curry yourself. I will show you how to make it today. And that's just a quick rundown of, you get the 32 ebooks, download them straight away, because once you've purchased, you can only get them up until the 30th of June, just because the hosting platform is extremely expensive now. We don't want to charge you more. So download it straight away. I will move across here and just get your bundle. I will just put it here in case somebody wants to jump away from this and have a look. But let me bring me back. There I am. Now let's get to it. Okay, let me move the camera around here so we can watch what I'm doing. Okay, is that a good, get that out of the way? Trying to get the best view there. Okay, so this is quite easy. We've got a blender. We've got, the blender that we're going to put everything into. I'll blend it across on the stand. You see, I'm trying to get the best angle so you guys can see in there. Just going to work in there. Let's see. Maybe not. We'll just do it on an angle here. So you can, I'm really struggling today with this. Okay, so I'll just tip it like this so you guys can see as I put things in. So first off is tomatoes. This is a tomato-based curry. Hey, Koala Mama. Oh, well, I hope I help you unwind after your busy day. You made my stroganoff. I love that. It's so meaty with the, no meat in it, but it's got mushrooms in it. So we're doing the curry today. So we've got tomatoes in there. And then I use I use coconut. Both start with C. As you can tell, it's early morning for me. So we've got that going on there. We've then got a date. just to sweeten it a bit. Couple garlic cloves. Now, in this recipe, there's turmeric and galangal, which is a sweeter version of ginger. The guy that I get it off isn't near me anymore, so we've got just fresh ginger today. So we're going to put that in. Okay, a little bit of lemon juice. Now we've got our spices. Now I've used curry powder and also onion powder. Put those in. Full recipe is in my ebook. For this is actually curried vegetables that sit on top of like a salad, but I'm just showing you the curry part of this today because we do have to dehydrate this. And then the chili. Now, because of the tomatoes, we do not need any liquids. We will just blend this up. Bear with me. Bear with me here. Okay, we want that nice and smooth. It's looking smooth. Okay, that's really good. So, into a bowl. Hey, Trina! So, creative arts, interesting topic. Do you think food makes a difference with mental health? You have no idea what occurred. Like I literally got out of I will go into it. I literally got out of an acute psychiatric unit. Plus my liver was failing, but acute psychiatric unit, and my brain could not stabilize. I do believe histamines were involved, but how it was once I got on the raw foods, like it's that one thing that just cleared for me. Like I will get into what to do if you have what I'm kind of going into, is it psycho or psychic? Like, is it spiritual or is it physical? And no matter which way you see it, I will tell you without a doubt what helped me and helps many people who want to get into the brain and nerves and help themselves. So into this bowl. Now, on Fridays, I will not, and especially because it's the raw bundle, I'm not going to go out and buy a whole lot of vegetables. So there is in this recipe, these were pre-frozen, so these will be nice and soft when I eat them. It'll be like a cooked curry. So there is cauliflower in this recipe, and then there's also there was broccoli, but I've got snow peas, so I'm using those. There was baby corns, and I have some corn I'm putting in here. I didn't have baby corns, and I'm just having some carrot to add in some extra volume, and there's onions. So just bring this down like that. Okay, and we're simply going to pour, I just get a big spoon. Raw curries are nice and easy, and they're nice and flavorful. And if, like me, you freeze your veggies, you really will think it's a cooked curry if it comes out of the dehydrator. So we are going to put this in. What magnesium supplement do you take? I've asked you this over the months, but haven't had a response. Oh, I'm so sorry. I mustn't have seen the message. I reply truly to all the messages. I will grab my magnesium because I'm very specific about it. And I say to people who are in a different country to me, if you want the same effect with magnesium, as I do and you can't get the same brand as I use, is just go to the Australia site, have a look what is in this magnesium, because this magnesium has a whole variety of different magnesiums. So we're just mixing this curry here, and then they will make something similar. So we're just going to Mix all this through. And then we're going to put this on a tray, and it goes into the dehydrator for about 3 hours. And as I said, all these vegetables were bought fresh. I chopped them up and froze them. So when I eat this, it'll just be like a normal, probably won't be able to tell the difference if it was cooked or not cooked, except it's got all the nutrients because it hasn't been, nothing's been denatured by cooking. Okay, so we'll move this. Yes, no inflammation in the brain and gut makes the difference, but also forming your body out of living plants adds a spiritual effect. Yeah, with raw foods, and a lot of people, I say this often, is that get to a raw food diet, they've been through so much, you know, so your psyche, your spirit, we've all got PTSD, we've all got trauma, we've all got anxiety, we've all got depression. And if you try and cure someone with just a physical aspect and you're not treating the mind and the body, is you will repeat the same pattern. The brain is so powerful, and it's so, if you've been sick for like 10 years and you take the symptoms away, I promise the person will more than likely repeat the pattern they were already doing because it's so ingrained. If you get on raw foods, you are literally locked onto God. And I say God, but I mean nature, spirit, universe. So the inner voice changes and you're present. So you're not ruminating on the past, what I didn't have, what I should have had. Oh, that person, I don't like them. I don't like this now. And you end up back where you were. And I just want to share a bit of my journey, or where I'm coming from. So that's going to go into the dehydrator. Thank you. Once this live's finished, I'll put it in. If I did it now, you guys would hear the dehydrator going, but that will go straight into the dehydrator after this live. Let me just, while I think of it, I will run around and grab the magnesium bottle for you. Okay, 1 second. So the brand I use, I do know this is an Australian brand. It's by a brand called Fusion, and it's Magnesium Advance, and it's in the capsule form. It's not the powder, which has like lime flavorings and stuff in it. Now I've taken I take at the moment anywhere from 2 to 4 at night, and that's a massive dose. And it's really helping me. This actually has in it magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate, magnesium amino acid chelate, magnesium aspartate, tetrahydrate. So it's got nothing else in it. It's all different types of magnesiums. And go to the website Fusion, find this and have a look at exactly what's in it, because I have tried other ones and they're full of they add herbs and stuff in them. They add like other things in them, or they're a lower dose. I really like this one. So that's the magnesium. So I wanted to talk about, is somebody having a spiritual awakening, or is it just a complete broken brain? Like it's all physical, like the person's really, really crazy. And I want to start on my story because I never had any psychiatric issues besides being diagnosed with ADHD, but every third person apparently has ADHD. Yes, I did have it quite badly, but even when I went through all my traumas and all my surgeries, everything was in the scope of reality. Yes, I've had really down days. Yes, things have been bad, but that's mood. We're talking very different than tapping into like a totally different reality. When people dissociate, schizoidal tendencies, when I went through this, I don't even think I had a mood. I couldn't really feel. So I'm not really talking about anxiety, depression. PTSD, I think, falls into this, because if you start reliving things. It's where you get during the day, we can work and we can watch things. But you know, when you're watching a TV show and all of a sudden you realize you've drifted off and you've gone, oh, I've got to get that for dinner. Oh, I wonder if Bob's coming over next week. And your mind has drifted off. It's like that part of your consciousness now has a second reality that you're living through, that you can very easily dissociate into. And what's like, a lot of things came up for me over my life where, like, seeing psychiatrists for ADHD, they said, you know, Sky, you're someone who would have been like a shaman back in the day, or a witch doctor, where you live outside the village and people come to you for advice. I get told all the time I'm like a really old soul. But I think the person I am now, and the horror show that took place when I dissociated, and they diagnosed me with something different every day. They really didn't know what it was. As I said, there's mood disorders, complex PTSD, schizoidal tendencies of bipolar. Just every day was something new. They don't really know. And if you're in one of those wards, acute wards, is what you realize is a lot of the diagnoses, they're just trying to capture what they see, doctors see physically. Most people have tendencies of the whole spectrum when they've dissociated. So, you know, I think that's like a really important note to make here, is that when people are labeled, is you will find they have multiple diagnoses because they're trying to, in my opinion, they're trying to explain something which is unexplainable. And I still to this day do not find words to comprehend what happened to me. So I had been coming on, you know, I've been through all these surgeries. I was 37, never had any psychiatric breaks or psychiatric problems. And I'm coming off a whole lot of medications, opioids, as well as I'd been on antidepressants, not for depression, but for pain, because they were helping me manage pain. I was just about off dexamphetamine. I was off like all these things. I didn't want to be on them anymore. But what I want people to know is at the same time I was doing this, I was pretty much living off berries. So although when I was like, my parents would give me meals each day. By the time I ended up in hospital, I had been living off like those, they make you have when you're underweight, those shakes, those protein shakes, and they make you have fruit in it. And I was just living off these berries. So sometimes I put at the start, it started off with the 2 scoops of the protein, some of the yogurt and berries. But I started to notice, so I'm coming off medication and I'm on frozen berries. They were frozen berries, but they're still berries. And I started to notice it was like the universe was opening up. So instead of feeling like I was closed in, I wanted to be outdoors more. Mind you, I'm 37 kilograms. So my parents are like, don't go outside. You're a fool's risk. If you go outside, we have to come with you. And this is like where I'm trying to break away. I'm 37. I'm like not happy about this. And whether it's night or day, I just want to be outside. And the same thing I notice happens today when I have fruit is I can't be inside. You have to be outside. So I do believe that had something to do with it. But I also believe our journeys are guided. Like I was always destined to go through what I went through. And it was like I didn't have to be present anymore. I could be in a different reality where there was like, I could say souls, or it was almost like souls in a dimension I couldn't really understand, but would come and go. And I probably would, I don't believe I would, people can say, you know, you're hearing voices, but I believe I couldn't have made through my dark night of the soul, which I prefer to call it, without these like souls being around me. I mean, I assume at some points they're not always positive souls, but I hadn't been around people either. I've been in a bed or a hospital since I was the age of 25. At this stage, I'm 37. That was like the longest running stint of back-to-back bed. Other times in my life, I've been in bed for years and then I've got up again. But this was like a really long period. So it was almost like having friends. But also, remember, I had always been in a lot of pain and having surgeries and stuff. If you're in physical pain, you can't process emotions whatsoever at all. So I'm thinking that it's probably like this overflow of emotions. But what always rings so true is where I am now is only because my whole reality fractured. It was like everything I'd been told, I'd been taught, every word, every people had said wasn't truth. It was like I was destined now to see truth. And if you're been in a room for all this time, you've disconnected from nature, you're now thrown in a psychiatric unit and put on more medications, all these new psychiatric drugs. How does the brain cope? How does your mind cope? And there were so many synchronicities when I was in there. The people who are in psychiatric units have to be the most psychic people, even though they can't explain what they're telling you. It's like, we all know it's such a weird experience, because the nurses and doctors are the ones that are so structured and still stuck in the matrix, and you're free. It's like being like a child. Now, what really rings true for me, because people say, did you go on the raw food? Did you have detox? Did you cry? Did you go through all of this? Now, I'm starting to think I didn't go through a lot of the emotions other people did, because I'd already been through it. By the time I got onto a full raw food diet, I'd been processing things at levels unheard of for years. So once I got on the raw foods, it was literally like, boom, I'm full-blown enlightened. I can see the universe for what it is. There's no detox, there's no downtime. And it's almost like all of that reality was, I guess, dissociated consciousness, let's call it, my dissociated consciousness, which had these different realms and different ways that played out. Sometimes it was PTSD, sometimes it was like souls like that of people I already knew, but in like a different age or a different time that would be with me, but not in the way that we think. So this is kind of what's going on. And I must say, I kind of miss it. Isn't it funny? Like, I am now fully in reality. Yes, I can read, I can write again. Because when you go through that, couldn't have access to a lot of my memories. Some days I couldn't even say my name. I missed it, as in I mourned it all. But, I've got a couple of things here. So did you suffer atrophy from being in bed for so long? I did suffer atrophy, but then, because if you know anyone who's going through mania or dissociation, it's like something takes over. Your higher self, really, or something, is I was doing things that were not possible 2 weeks earlier. You hear of people going through mania and they can probably move cars and stuff. It's like that. Your body can't calm. I'm not sleeping. I've got this endless energy. I've got no pain. No pain. What I remember is no physical pain, emotional pain, whole other level. But physical pain was completely gone. When I was in these like psychiatric units, all I wanted to do was have no shoes on, be outside in the little garden, like have my feet in the garden, make sure at night when I never slept, I could see the sun and the moon. And anytime I finally was able to get permission to have leave, I was outside with my bottom on the grass, playing with flowers. It was like your true childhood could explore the universe. And in truth, during that time, I did not give a crap what anyone else thought. And I think that's part of it, is that self-consciousness just rips apart like that. What we have created as what we think keeps us safe, when you're free in a psychiatric unit to explore who you are, truly are, it's almost freeing. When I came out of this and I got off the medications they put me on, so I was in this first stint, and when I lost my memory and this dissociation was 4 or 5 months in a psychiatric unit. And this was my introduction to the world. What I wanted to touch on also is when because I was so underweight, they would make me have these sweet drinks, which was sweet and full of fat and protein and chemicals every day. I wasn't allowed to have my leave. Every time I had it, because I have such no stomach, I'd go, don't give it to me. My blood pressure is going to drop. A lot of things happen in psych units where you're not cared for the same as in a hospital. And I get it. The nurses are traumatized because they've been yelled at and going through. It's a hard situation. But anyway, I said, don't give it to me. It's going to make my blood pressure kept dropping and I kept passing out. They'd give it to me and I'd pass out. Every time I pass out, and sometimes I'd be on leave and pass out the front. Every time I came, like I literally would feel like I was going to die. I would see like real flowers. This isn't a hallucination. Whether someone had delivered flowers and dropped some in front of me, whether I would pass out in front of flowers, it was like the only truth that pulled me through that in reality was nature. It was so loud, even though I was in that, they'd re-given me all these drugs and I'm eating hospital food. I'm definitely not vegan at this level. I did go vegan the next time, but at this level, I'm not vegan. I'm having coffees, like living off coffee to try and like get myself up and functioning. But nature was still there. Like nature was this anchor that was just kept pulling me through. That was just like this loud, like if you could imagine like bells. When you eat raw foods, the vibration of the planet is so loud, you understand it. But at this point, like the only truth was to always talk to nature, be with nature. But there was obviously a lot of other things going on. They do say, I remember hearing a long time ago, the only difference between someone who is psycho or psychic, as in like psychiatric or psychic, is the environment that their gift is nurtured in. So if you get somebody who has, like me, having this awakening, this dark night of the soul, and I'll tell you what dark night of the soul is in a minute, but this like awakening stage, and you've been in a room for, at this stage, I think, what's that, 12, 13 years, you're thrown in a psychiatric unit. Instead of being nurtured what's going on, you're given more chemicals. Okay. And then you're locked off from your family. And, so that to me is how you traumatize somebody who's going through something, which I feel in our past, maybe people are called witches and stuff, I don't know, but could have been nurtured. Imagine you're born into a family where this comes on in your teen years, and your family has these natural abilities to connect with nature and the universe and past lives and things, and it's really nurtured. I believe this is like the difference between, and I'm not saying it's all circumstances, and I will say if you're having psychiatric issues or mental health problems, I'm not saying don't get help. This is not what I'm saying. I'm just coming from my experience where I think if you get somebody who's been as sick as I have, and they're finally like going through this childlike phase and they're trying to discover the world, and you throw them chemically into an asylum, basically, you get what you sow, right? The person is going to try and rebel. I wanted to be outdoors, and they're like, you're crazy. You're outside with your feet in the dirt. I want my feet in the dirt today. Nothing's changed. So I just think that's something really important. If you know somebody going through something, I'm not saying you can understand where they're at, but maybe you're the person who can listen to what they're saying and not walk away and go, they're batshit crazy. The reason being is because I feel like I got more knowledge and downloads in that period of time than you can ever imagine in even my whole span of my reality and normal life. So where a person is tapped into. Now, if a person gets looped into like, drugs to try and numb it, because these people are really sensitive souls. You find these people like the biggest empaths. You are going to stay fractured, but then there's me. Sorry, I saw some questions. How did you find interacting with loved ones going through all this? Were you emotional or abusive to people? When this first happened, is the person who was my greatest carer was my mum. Wouldn't talk to her, wouldn't talk to my sister. This is the first. It goes in waves, which apparently a lot of the psychiatric nurses said is quite normal. The people you're closest to, you cut off. My dad would come and take me close, but I cut my whole family off when this happened. So you're talking about a girl who's been in a room for 12 years. Didn't want to talk to them. Because it was like everything in my mind, in my reality, it's everything everyone had said just didn't ring true anymore to me. It just wasn't my reality. So the people that were my friends and the people that I could relate to the best were the patients in the hospital. Not all of them, but some of them. And they're going through their own thing. But when you're free to explore the mind. If you want to put your butt in the dirt, do it. People are going to think you're crazy anyway. Now I do it, and people just know it's part of my raw vegan journey. Like, it's like nothing really changed. It's just the perception of those around you that you trust in. And I had a great trust in hospitals because I spent so much time in them until this. This is not the same as being in a normal ward, where you've got, you have something wrong, you either get a doctor will come and see you, or there's some medication, or you need an infusion, or you get a smile and a hug. And even those smile and hugs that people give you, they're not reality. It's like your whole reality that you knew is not true to be anymore. So people in the USA in mental hospitals, or just in general, are treated really poorly. It's really sad. Lots of homelessness, mentally ill. It is really sad. The other thing that happens when you're in this situation, and what motivated me to get this well, is you don't have any rights. So just say you had, like, I did reconnect with my parents, and they are what's classified as like, what would you call, good citizens in the community. And their words were valued over mine, like as in like Sky has some of her old symptoms coming up. We need this addressed. It's getting quite serious. A lot of people don't have that. What you have to understand is what these people in these hospitals have been through. I'll give you an example of one guy that was in there. He had diabetes. He was going to possibly have a limb cut off. He just had a heart attack. But that following year, he was driving up to his family. His wife had given birth to the fourth child, and he hadn't met the fourth child yet because of his work. He was a police officer. There you go. He's already traumatized as well. And she's driving up with a new child and 3 kids to meet him, and he's about to meet his new child. A drugged up truck driver hit the car front on, whole family dead. So, and I don't even know the rest of his life. So he's a police officer. This has happened. He's possibly going to lose a limb because of diabetes, and he's had a heart attack. That's the level. And then there's people who's like their house is just burnt down, their cars, like it's just like levels of things, like, and they don't have any support. So how, and I'm at least saying here that if something goes wrong, even if you like chip a tooth or something, you really have no rights. I don't know Australia versus America. I can't say, but I assume it's not going to be that much different. So as you're starting to see, and it's taken me a while to share this side of it because it's very hard to explain in the realm of what people know as reality, this whole section of my life. Everything else, including like organs removal, these surgeries, these like needing ketamine because I was in so much pain, it's still in the realm of normal reality, as in like this linear form of reality that we know. So I've only told you the first part. So then I came out of this, and being really treated so badly and not having any rights, I was motivated to be well, to be perfect, right? So I'm doing paleo. I couldn't really remember things still, but I'm going to the gym. I'm working for my brother-in-law. I'd have like a wine now and then with friends, but my priority was my health that year. I'm having like nuts and seeds, and I have like a meat dish, maybe 1 or 2 a day, but eating what I thought I was doing really well. And then at the end of that year, this PTSD and anxiety started to like up inside of me. But also then I got shingles through the eye. And this is where I got the functional neurological disorder, where I couldn't walk and talk. And then the new overlay of this like dark night of the soul, which is still going on, is that I'm reliving like surgeries as if I'm awake. I'm reliving traumas. But then there's still this aspect of this fear, this greatest fear. And I've started having seizures and stuff with the FND, but my greatest fear was that I'd end up back in a psychiatric unit. And I did. But I did first have to go to a neurological hospital to relearn to do some basic functions. I couldn't even butter toast. And do I think that's part of all of this? Yes. I believe all physical diagnoses are all part of this. Like you can like, especially even like things like tumors, right? You can kind of like swirl up the energy into one area that's negative and hold it. But eventually you've got to face everything that's going on. So, hey, so you've got to face, so this is, I've ended up, and then I decided I was running away. So I ran away and I lived in the woods, and I had like all these people looking for me for days, all these rescue workers, my sister, my family, my friends. I was happier there. I was so sick of being sick. I wanted to be in nature. Was it still part of dissociation? Yes. Could I get up? No. I was kind of like laying in the woods, I think 2 or 3 days, and they found me. Then they scheduled me for 10 months. I was in a couple of acute psychiatric wards, but I was so dissociated. I do believe histamines were at play here, because the violence of these PTSD or like overlays, and everyone that came near me, I was absolutely petrified of. I just wanted to be alone, basically alone. I was scared of everyone. My parents were trying really, really hard, but I just didn't want to be with anyone. This went on, and then this FND was still really bad. And then I was vegan at this stage. So I wouldn't eat, this is where I couldn't eat anything with a face. I'm like so sensitive to the whole universe. Like, how had I got to this stage of eating anything? Like, nothing's eating me. I'm eating things, babies. And it's like, no. But I do believe this is all part of the process. Like, I don't believe it's because I chose to start eating berries and, you know, lots and lots of berries at the start and then get on to like paleo, where I'm having like nuts and seeds and fruits and veggies. I believe it's in par, is where your soul is. And what you do is and your outside is a reflection of your soul journey. And so I'm coming through this, and then I really still couldn't function. So they put me back on some old medications I used to be on, they put me back on dexamphetamine and they put me back on an antidepressant. And it must have linked into parts of my brain. Now, it did not make me well whatsoever, but it got me up. Okay. It got me like able to like read a little bit, couldn't read very much. Could sit on could watch a little bit of a show, but most of it was just like, even watching TV was like watching my whole life play out, no matter what it was. It was like watching me live these things. I guess maybe that's when people say TVs are talking to them. I don't know whether I felt like TV was talking to me. It was just like everything was like watching my life. Anyway, this is when I started drinking, and it did work, as in like it numbed the amount of PTSD I'm living. And by the way, this is before I started drinking, and I've been in hospitals and I'm eating like tofus and ragouts. Like, I'm in private hospital by the time I'm getting on more medication. But my body stopped making proteins. It could have been the medications, but I mean, as soon as I went raw, all my blood work I think was tested within 4 weeks, had just shifted. Anyway, we'll never know. But at this stage, my blood work's getting worse. Then my liver failed, and I ended up in hospital for 3 weeks in like acute, getting infusions and stuff. And that's when mum and dad said, we can't look after you anymore. So anyone who's wondered why, I think you can understand why. They've probably been like, what more can we do for the girl? And this is where I tried to get help for the alcohol, but then I kept having seizures. And then I was sleeping outside of hospitals because I was just so mentally unwell and I had no home. My brother-in-law helped me get a couple of hotels. I couldn't talk to people, so it was really hard to book things. I could for like moments, and then you'd have like seizures and zone out. If you've had FND, you'll know. But this to me is all still part of it. But in truth, what kept me company the whole time is nature, and also this like world that is like this dissociated world where, like, I don't know whether you call them beings or souls, would always be around me. They were my friends type thing. Once I got my own place, I basically was just eating the food raw. Even before I started eating the food raw, I would sit there and stare. And remember, I'm alone all the time, just stare. I might order some Thai steamed vegetables in like a vegan sauce, and I just stare at it and go, it just looks dead. Everything looked dead, especially the food. And then I'd get tofu and I'd look at it and I'd be like, what is this? And then I'd eat like some parsley or some celery or carrots, and it felt right. But I do think this is like a soul alignment, where whatever my soul was going through, the food that I start eating is reflecting kind of like how much crap I've kind of cleaned out of my life. And plus I've got this big motivation. Once I start noticing that when I eat the raw foods, is I'm not really as dissociated. I'm able to feel a bit more. I remember feeling the shower for the first time. Feeling people again, I really believe only started happening last year. But 1 year on raw food, you're literally hugged by nature. So you're fine. Like you until you understand this. And I'll get to that. I've kind of jumped a little bit there. So I'm eating this raw food, and the raw food is making me feel better than I've ever known. And then I'd go, I feel better, and hang the washing out and do a couple of things, which is mind blowing for me because I couldn't do anything. And then I'd cook the food, like just literally dry roast some pumpkin and tomato and basil and garlic, boom, out. You could not get me up. But mind you, also at this time, my iron is really low because my liver's damaged. They can't give me an infusion. So I believe that anything that weighs the body down, when your iron's low, you can't get up. But this was like night and day. And then, as I said, like I would try and walk down the street, and my heart rate would be up at 188. within 6 weeks, I could walk 2 kilometers or something, and my heart rate was just normal. I think it was like 130, 140, but it was not gone. Having tachycardia gone, POTS gone. I was off all my medications. But you can't, when I describe this, I think a lot of people like to think of it, or what did you fix physically? It really was this essence of finding myself and my clarity and my voice and my soul that helps talk you through healing. And that to me is the only thing that you can get from raw foods that you can't get from other lifestyles. It doesn't take away that you hear people healing on different, getting rid of symptoms on different diets, but nothing is like raw foods. And I did notice when I was eating the raw foods, how the vibration, when you can literally see that the cooked carrot versus the uncooked carrot is bright. So I knew that it wasn't in like the nuts and the sauerkraut and the like dried spices. The answer was in the watery, living, sun packaged food. And I was so determined to come away from the hell I'd been through that I just went to sun packages. Like I literally let go of salt, nuts and seeds, spice, all medications, all products, everything. I wanted sun packages, and I clung to that. And I will say this, nothing, and I wasn't even on, I do think fats helped me a lot. I was having a lot of, fats, it was just avocado because I let go of everything else. It really helped my nerve pain. But I will say to this day, nothing gets my brain working, gives me clarity, keeps me present, is like a miracle fruit. And I watch people who have had, I just see how people's minds and bodies, it's like this nerve and brain. And I believe it's not just spiritual, but because the brain is so hard to access, to, you could say, clean out or get nutrients in or get even sugar in. If you've got a clogged system, you're not getting much of anything to the brain. Like it's going to just be used locally wherever it can. But when we're talking right in the brain, and I truly believe, and I, as you guys know, is I'm not even like on a huge fruit diet at the moment. But if you want to start helping yourself, is the best thing I can suggest is find that level of raw, it's got to be raw foods where you feel good. If you feel present and good, and we don't have to go extreme. You don't have to be like, I'm just going to eat watermelon to heal my brain. No, because that can sometimes send you backwards. As you've heard, is I did a lot of like avocado to like protect my nerves. You've got to find where you sit. And I believe the brain, and I guess it's because I believe that what you express through the brain is a complete representation of your soul. Like everything else is kind of like, to me, a disease can come up later, like over time. But I believe what people speak, what people make, what people do is their soul. Like we're seeing their soul. And I promise you, is find that level of raw that suits you, that you feel good, because I didn't go and sit in psychiatrist's office or psychologist's office or go yap to people all day about all my problems. As soon as I got up, I sat with flowers and I'd get my body in the ocean. When I was awake at night, now, Sky, your butt is outside. You're now outside with the moon. Is everything I could do was to stay present, be in nature. But the raw foods kept me able to, now I'm living life forward. Like I can actually live in the moment and move forward. Before, everything was it's like cooked food, sticky and stuck, and I could not think or move. And now my true healing comes in the living, that I can run, that I can do Pilates, that I can do these lives and now share. But it's probably taken, 4th year raw now. This is like, now is the time 4 years ago when this whole thing was starting. It was around this time, this season, where I was like noticing things that with the food. So it's been 4 years, and I only believe that my concentration, as we know it, like I forgot that you can actually just zone out into a movie, or when you're talking to someone, you're not aware of everything going on around you. It definitely took about 3.5 years, because it was after the juice cleanse, I started saying to you guys, I'm getting my memories back. I'm getting all these memories back, all these things I haven't thought of or felt in years. And then I started to notice when I'm around like the mum's dog, who was like my companion all those years when I was sick, and even mum, I'm able to sit there and really enjoy people's company. And that's just getting better and better now. But as I healed, I always had nature. So like I could just look outside. I can lay in my bed. You can hear the birds now. Everything just sings. And I believe that just starts rewriting these pathways in the brain, which when I believe other diets can fix like problems, but you have to like rewrite your whole universe basically. So that's, and this, here I am now. So yeah, Koala Mama said it opens up the connection on every level. And I can't stress how much that's what heals. Like I know it's like so multifaceted when you're on raw foods, all these things that start moving. But the biggest thing I learned was, like, I was talking to Chris Kendall about this last night, is like that self-love. I remember sitting there 3 weeks into this going, I've never said I love you, Sky, more in my life than in the past 3 weeks. I love the sun. I love the moon. I want to walk. I want to go to the shop. I want to do things. Most of my life was like, oh, can I just watch TV because I can't be bothered doing anything? And when you are in that space of love, you heal. But it doesn't take away that and as you can hear, like I've been through a lot, but it doesn't take away that I'm not grateful that I could overcome that. You know, once you overcome that, losing yourself, you can do anything. But it's like a fresh start. And it's very different from all of that physical, dense trauma that I went through in a very, very linear reality. Yeah, I brought this up. Like, there's a couple things. I'll just share my screen with you guys. Well, if I can find my screen. Where did I find this? This was here the other day. Let me see. Can you share screen? Here we go. First off, before I share my screen, let me just pull this down. Here. Share screen. Let me start here. So I saw this on Reddit, and it's just an example of someone, and the backstory is this person's had like psychic abilities most of their life. And and their family is very psychic, and they explored that with things like tarot cards, and they used to speak in their head often to like ghosts and spirits, and they see them. And now when they let all that go, and now when they think of them, these things, there's goosebumps, and they're wondering, are they crazy? And the answer is like, here's one, nope, you wondering about it and thinking about it means you're not crazy. It's all perception is what I'm trying to get at. It's all about the perception of this person. They're talking in their head. People in psych units are talking things in their head. People who, you know, to me, it's just how it's nurtured. It's where you are when you have this experience. And then this feeds over to, let me see here. It feeds over to, let me bring up this one. This is where, here, Dark Night of the Soul. It actually comes from a poem. There's a few, I believe I went through Dark Night of the Soul. I believe when the soul kind of fractures and when you start feeling and sensing things in a different realm of reality, it's not this dense 3D reality that you've been taught at school. You are going through what the Dark Night of the Soul is. And this is where it describes the concept of his treaty of the Dark Night of the Soul in this poem. And he follows the second phase of this illumination in which there's God or the universe's presence is felt. But the presence is not yet stable. And I spoke about that. Like, how do you, if somebody handed you the keys to the universe and you've lived in a bed and you've never really interacted with people for like 12 years, how do you comprehend when you're like what you built? And I don't even think it goes for just me. I think the reality we build, you know, we watch advertisements, we watch movies, we listen to like kids bully us at school. We listen to only teachers. We're told what to do. And we go to university and we're told what to do. And then we get a boss and we're told what to do. And then that all fractures. So it's saying here, in modern times, the phrase Dark Night of the Soul has become a popular phrase to describe the crisis of faith or difficult, painful period in a person's life. I actually don't know whether there is words to describe what it is. And that's just on Wikipedia if you want to have a look into that more. That looks like it's coming from a real religious aspect of it, but I think it's originated from, is a John of the Cross, so that's why. But in truth, I just think that it's unexplainable. You know, there's not really any words to explain it. So yeah, I have loved chatting to you guys. That's kind of that aspect. I really believe with what I experience with this, like if I have a calling and I can like put this into, like, as this time goes on, I can understand myself. And I work with a spiritual healer, Hannah, who really helps me understand all this. She's like mind blown by it all because she's a shaman, so she sees it from that sort of level. I would love to talk more on it because there's just no book, no movie, nothing I've ever could prepare me for that experience. And if it can help another person, that's what I'm all about. And I'm going to put my raw curry into the dehydrator. I will post photos both on YouTube and on Instagram later of the finished product because there is a salad and a dressing and stuff, but I just wanted the curry to be done. Hope that helped you guys. And if you have any topics, just message me that you want to speak on, that you want me to speak on. And I will see you guys tomorrow with some more food. Bye.